What if I told you that some of the most beautiful, most resilient, and most jaw-dropping shrubs you could ever grow in a container were also the ones that need the absolute least from you? No monthly fertilizer schedule, no constant watering, no fussing, no coddling, no complicated care routines. Just plant them once, give them the right container and the right spot, and then simply stand back and watch them thrive season after season, year after year. Welcome back to the channel, where we help you garden smarter, not harder. Today we are covering 5 drought-tolerant native shrubs that thrive in containers with absolutely zero monthly fertilizing. Plants that give you stunning structure, gorgeous seasonal color, and extraordinary wildlife value with a level of effort that will genuinely surprise you. Let's get into it. Before we dive in, if you are new to this channel, welcome to the community. Hit that subscribe button right now and tap the bell icon so you never miss a video. And if you have been with us for a while and you enjoy the content we create here, please give this video a thumbs up right now. It takes 1 second and it genuinely helps us reach more gardeners who are looking for exactly this kind of practical, no-nonsense guidance. We appreciate you more than you know. All right, let's talk native shrubs. All right, let's go to the video. Here is the reality of container gardening that nobody talks about enough. Most popular container plants are heavy feeders that demand regular fertilizing, frequent watering, and a surprising amount of ongoing maintenance just to stay alive and looking good. That routine works fine when you have the time and energy for it. But when life gets busy, and it always does, those containers are usually the first thing to suffer. Native shrubs completely rewrite those rules because they evolved right here in our soils, our climate, our rainfall patterns. They are genetically programmed to thrive without supplemental feeding, without daily watering, and without the kind of intensive maintenance that burns most gardeners out. Plant these 5 in the right containers, and you get all the beauty with a fraction of the work. Let's count them down. Plant number 1, Buttonbush, Cephalanthus occidentalis. Opening our list at number 1 is a native shrub so uniquely beautiful and so spectacularly wildlife-friendly that once you see it in full bloom, you will wonder why on earth it took you this long to discover it. That plant is Buttonbush, and it is one of the most extraordinary, most underused native shrubs available to North American gardeners today. Buttonbush gets its name from its flowers, and those flowers are unlike anything else in the shrub world. They appear in midsummer as perfectly spherical, creamy white globes covered in tiny, thread-like stamens that give each bloom the appearance of a miniature fireworks explosion frozen in time. Picture a perfectly round white pincushion about an inch across, studded with delicate white pins and hanging in loose clusters from the tips of the branches, swaying slightly in the breeze, glowing against the dark green foliage, and absolutely humming with the activity of every pollinator within a half-mile radius. The visual effect is genuinely unlike anything else you will ever grow in a container. In its native habitat, Buttonbush grows along stream banks, pond edges, and wetland margins, which tells you something very important about its adaptability. While it tolerates and actually enjoys moist conditions, it adapts remarkably well to container culture as long as you water it during establishment and use a container large enough to accommodate its root system. Once established in a container, typically by its second season, it handles drought intervals with impressive resilience, bouncing back quickly after dry spells without the leaf drop and stress response you see in less adaptable shrubs. The key benefit of Buttonbush in a container is its absolutely extraordinary wildlife value. The flowers are a critical nectar source for bumblebees, honeybees, native bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds, all simultaneously, all at once, in a buzzing, fluttering, living spectacle that makes your container display feel genuinely alive and dynamic rather than merely decorative. After the flowers fade, the round seed heads that follow are eagerly eaten by waterfowl and songbirds through fall and into winter. From a single containerized buttonbush, you are creating a small but mighty wildlife habitat that pays ecological dividends far beyond what its modest size might suggest. The caution: buttonbush needs a genuinely large container to perform well. A minimum of 20 to 25 gallons is recommended for a mature specimen. In smaller containers, it will become root-bound quickly, and its growth and flowering will be significantly compromised. Choose a container with excellent drainage, use a quality native soil mix, and site it in full sun to partial shade for best bloom production. Also note that all parts of buttonbush are toxic if ingested, so keep it positioned away from areas where children or pets might be tempted to sample the foliage or berries. Plant number 2, Sweetspire, Itea virginica. Number 2 on our list is a native shrub that delivers a truly spectacular 3-season performance, and does it so effortlessly, so reliably, and with so little demand on the gardener that it almost feels like cheating. That shrub is Virginia Sweetspire, Itea virginica, and it is one of the most genuinely beautiful and criminally underplanted native shrubs in North America. Virginia Sweetspire earns its name the moment it blooms. In early to midsummer, it produces long, gracefully arching racemes, essentially drooping chains, of tiny, intensely fragrant white flowers that hang from the tips of every branch in a cascading curtain of creamy white. Each flower raceme can reach 4 to 6 inches long, and a mature shrub in full bloom is covered in dozens of these drooping white chains simultaneously, creating a breathtaking effect of cascading white fragrance that fills the air around the container with a sweet, honey-like perfume that is genuinely irresistible to both humans and pollinators alike. But here's what makes Sweetspire truly exceptional. The show does not end when the flowers fade. As summer transitions into fall, the foliage of Virginia Sweetspire transforms into one of the most spectacular autumn color displays of any native shrub in the eastern United States. The leaves turn through a stunning sequence of crimson, scarlet, orange, and deep burgundy purple, and this color develops reliably and brilliantly even in partial shade, which is extremely unusual and makes Sweetspire one of the very few native shrubs that delivers outstanding fall color in shadier container locations. For container culture specifically, Sweetspire is outstanding because of its compact, tidy, well-behaved growth habit. Most garden varieties reach only 3 to 4 feet tall and wide in containers, a very manageable size that works beautifully on patios, porches, deck railings, and entryways. The variety Henry's Garnet is particularly highly regarded, producing especially long, fragrant flower racemes and exceptionally vivid fall foliage color that is truly among the finest of any native shrub in cultivation. The key benefit of Sweetspire in a container is its incredible value per plant ratio across the growing season. It gives you fragrant white flowers in summer, a spectacular fall foliage display that rivals any Japanese maple, interesting winter stem structure, and wildlife value through every stage of its seasonal cycle, all in a compact, tidy, well-behaved form that asks for essentially nothing beyond occasional watering during the driest periods of summer. The caution: Sweetspire naturally spreads by suckering in garden beds, but in containers, this spreading tendency is completely controlled by the container walls, which actually makes containers an ideal way to enjoy this shrub without any spreading management concerns whatsoever. Use a container of at least 15 gallons, Position it in full sun to partial shade, and use a well-draining potting mix amended with some native soil or compost. Water regularly during its first season in the container to help it establish, and after that it will handle dry spells with the quiet resilience that all truly great native plants possess. Plant number 3, Shrubby St. John's wort, Hypericum prolificum. Number 3 is a native shrub that most gardeners walk right past at the nursery without a second glance, and that is a genuine shame, because this plant is one of the toughest, most drought-resistant, most cheerfully beautiful, and most ecologically valuable native shrubs you can grow in a container. That plant is Shrubby St. John's wort, Hypericum prolificum, and it is about to become one of your absolute favorites. Shrubby St. John's wort is a compact, densely branched native shrub that typically reaches 2 to 4 feet tall and wide, a beautifully manageable size for container culture. From midsummer through late summer, it produces a profusion of bright, cheerful, 5-petaled yellow flowers with prominent, bushy clusters of golden stamens at the center of each bloom, giving the flowers a fluffy, sunburst quality that is simultaneously bold and delicate. When this shrub is in full bloom, it is covered so completely in those bright yellow flowers that the foliage is almost entirely hidden behind a solid wall of sunshine-colored blooms. The reason Shrubby St. John's wort belongs on this list and belongs in your container garden is its extraordinary, almost superhuman drought tolerance. This plant evolved in rocky, dry, well-drained slopes and open woodlands across the eastern United States, and it has built up a drought resistance that is genuinely remarkable. Once established in a container, it can handle extended dry periods, sometimes 2 weeks or more without supplemental water in moderate temperatures, without wilting, dropping leaves, or reducing its bloom production. For busy gardeners, travelers, or anyone with an inconsistent watering schedule, this level of drought resilience is an absolute game changer. After the summer flowers fade, Shrubby St. John's wort produces small, attractive seed capsules that provide subtle winter interest and important food for native birds. The bark on older stems develops an attractive, peeling, cinnamon brown quality that adds textural interest to the container display through the bare winter months. And in spring, the fresh, new foliage emerges with a bright, clean, rich green color that immediately refreshes the container and signals the beginning of another season of that spectacular summer bloom. The key benefit of Shrubby St. John's wort in a container is the combination of genuine drought toughness with genuine floral beauty, a combination that is far rarer than it should be in the container plant world. Most plants that tolerate drought well sacrifice floral display to do so. Shrubby St. John's wort refuses that compromise entirely. It blooms prolifically and brilliantly, even under drought stress, making it one of the most reliable and rewarding native shrubs for summer container color available anywhere. The caution: Shrubby St. John's wort absolutely requires excellent drainage in its container. While it tolerates drought with remarkable grace, it has zero tolerance for waterlogged, soggy soil. Roots sitting in standing water will rot quickly and kill the plant within a single season. Use a container with at least 3 drainage holes, a fast-draining potting mix, and never allow the container to sit in a saucer of standing water. Get the drainage right, and this plant will reward you with years of cheerful, low-maintenance, brilliantly yellow summer color that requires nothing from you but the occasional admiring glance. Plant number 4, lead plant, Amorpha canescens. Number 4 on our list is a native prairie shrub so extraordinarily drought-tolerant that it was used by early North American settlers as an indicator of deep, fertile prairie soil. Because wherever lead plant grew, the land was worth farming. That plant is lead plant, Amorpha canescens, and it is one of the most remarkable, most resilient, and most ecologically valuable native shrubs you will ever grow in a container. Lead plant gets its common name from the silvery, lead-gray color of its foliage. Each compound leaf is composed of numerous, small, oval leaflets covered in fine, silvery hairs that give the entire plant a soft, luminous, silver-green appearance that is strikingly beautiful and highly distinctive in a container planting. That silver color is not just decorative. Those fine hairs are an adaptation that reflects intense sunlight and reduces water loss from the leaf surface, giving lead plant its legendary ability to thrive in the hottest, driest, most punishing growing conditions imaginable. In early to mid-summer, lead plant produces its flowers, and those flowers are genuinely beautiful in a quiet, understated way that rewards the careful observer. The flower spikes are narrow, upright, and densely packed with tiny, deep purple to violet flowers, each one punctuated by bright, orange-yellow anthers that create a stunning color contrast against the deep purple petals. The overall effect, those narrow purple spikes rising above that silvery, feathery foliage, is subtle but sophisticated, and it has a wild prairie charm that no amount of elaborate garden design can fully replicate. From a purely ecological standpoint, lead plant is one of the most valuable native shrubs you can grow anywhere, in the ground or in a container. It is a nitrogen-fixing plant, meaning its roots harbor bacteria that convert atmospheric nitrogen into plant-available form, naturally enriching the soil in and around its container without any fertilizer input whatsoever. It is a host plant for multiple specialist native bee species. Its flowers support an extraordinary diversity of native pollinators, and its seeds feed birds through fall and winter. It is, in the most literal sense, a living ecological engine. The key benefit of lead plant in a container is its absolutely unparalleled drought resistance combined with its nitrogen-fixing ability, which means it not only survives without fertilizer, it actively builds soil fertility over time, making the potting mix in its container progressively richer and more biologically active with every passing season. It is one of the very few plants that genuinely improves its own growing environment simply by existing in it. The caution: lead plant is a deep-rooted prairie plant that invests heavily in root development before putting energy into above-ground growth. In its first year in a container, it may appear relatively small and unimpressive. Do not let this discourage you. It is building a deep, extensive root system that will support dramatically more vigorous top growth in years 2 and 3. Patience in year 1 is richly rewarded in the seasons that follow. Use a deep container, at least 18 inches deep, to accommodate its naturally deep root system, and site it in full sun for best flowering and most compact, attractive growth habit. Plant number 5, Dwarf Fothergilla, Fothergilla gardeniae. And rounding out our list at number 5 is a native shrub so spectacularly beautiful across 3 full seasons that it genuinely rivals any ornamental shrub in the entire plant world, native or exotic. A plant that produces some of the most extraordinary fragrant flowers of early spring, some of the most brilliant fall foliage of any shrub in cultivation, and everything in between with effortless, fertilizer-free grace. That shrub is Dwarf Fothergilla, and it is, without question, one of the finest native shrubs available to North American gardeners today. Dwarf Fothergilla is a compact, slow-growing native shrub that typically reaches 2 to 4 feet tall and wide, a perfectly proportioned, beautifully manageable size that makes it one of the finest native shrubs for container culture available anywhere. And from the very first days of spring, it announces itself with one of the most delightful and unique floral displays in the entire shrub world. Before a single leaf has emerged, Dwarf Fothergilla covers its bare stems with bottle brush-shaped flower spikes. Upright, fluffy, white clusters of stamens that have no petals at all, just those gorgeous, ivory white stamens densely packed into a brush shape, and they carry a fragrance that is simply extraordinary. Sweet, clean, and honey-like with just a hint of anise. The scent of Fothergilla in bloom on a warm, early spring morning is one of the most beautiful and uplifting fragrances that any garden can offer. Place this container near a doorway, a patio seating area, or a pathway, and that fragrance will greet you every morning during its bloom period in a way that makes starting the day feel genuinely special. Through spring and summer, Dwarf Fothergilla produces clean, rounded, dark green leaves with a slightly blue-green cast that are handsome and textural without being showy. The ideal supportive foliage presence in a container arrangement that lets neighboring plants take center stage during the warm months. And then, as autumn arrives, those modest green leaves ignite into one of the most spectacular fall color displays of any shrub in North American horticulture. The fall transformation of Dwarf Fothergilla is genuinely breathtaking. A single shrub can display multiple colors simultaneously. Deep scarlet, brilliant orange, vivid gold, and rich burgundy purple, all appearing on different leaves of the same plant at the same time, creating a mosaic of autumn color that looks like a miniature version of an entire New England forest packed into a single container. And unlike many shrubs whose fall color is inconsistent or climate-dependent, Fothergilla delivers that spectacular display reliably, year after year, in sun or partial shade. The key benefit of Dwarf Fothergilla in a container is its extraordinary three-season performance combined with its remarkable adaptability and near-zero maintenance requirements. It needs no fertilizing. In fact, it actually performs better in lean, slightly acidic soils without supplemental feeding. It is drought-tolerant once established. It is deer-resistant. And it provides important early spring nectar for emerging native bees and other pollinators at a time when very few other shrubs are in bloom, making it an ecologically critical plant for the early spring pollinator community. The caution: Dwarf Fothergilla has one non-negotiable requirement. It needs acidic soil to thrive. It performs poorly in alkaline or neutral soils, developing chlorosis, yellowing leaves, and reduced growth and flowering. Use an ericaceous potting mix, the same type used for blueberries, azaleas, and rhododendrons, and water with rainwater or filtered water rather than hard tap water wherever possible. Also, while it is drought-tolerant once established, it does appreciate consistent moisture during establishment in its first container season, particularly during the hottest summer months. Get the soil acidity right, and Dwarf Fothergilla will be one of the most beautiful, most rewarding, and most low-maintenance native shrubs you will ever grow in a container, delivering magnificent seasonal beauty season after season, year after year, with virtually no effort required from you at all. And there you have it. 5 extraordinary drought-tolerant native shrubs that thrive in containers with absolutely zero monthly fertilizing. 5 plants that bring genuine beauty, ecological value, and seasonal drama to your container garden while asking almost nothing from you in return. No feeding schedule, no constant watering, no complicated maintenance routines. Just great plants doing what great native plants do best. Every single one of these shrubs shares the same deep, built-in toughness that comes from thousands of years of evolution in North American soils and climates. That is not something you can buy in a bag of fertilizer. That is not something you can replicate with a complicated watering schedule. It is written into the DNA of every native plant. And when you choose to grow native, you are tapping into that genetic wisdom in the most direct and powerful way possible. Thank you so sincerely for watching today. If you enjoyed today's video and found it genuinely useful, please hit that thumbs up button right now. It costs you nothing, and it helps this channel reach thousands more gardeners who are looking for exactly this kind of low-maintenance, high-reward plant guidance. Every single like makes a real difference, and we are deeply grateful for each one. And if you have not subscribed yet, please do it right now. Hit subscribe and tap that bell icon so you are always the first to know when we post new content. We regularly create videos covering everything from native plants and drought-tolerant gardening to container design, wildlife gardening, and seasonal planting guides that will make you a more confident, more knowledgeable, and more ecologically connected gardener every single season. We will see you in the very next video. Until then, go native, grow bold, water less, and as always, happy gardening.